Hey everyone, so what I'm going to be doing today or right now is show you guys how I transform the component that takes in input values from this component and update it to something that looks cleaner and more elegant and also has some conditionals for like next steps. So to test it, this is how it would traditionally work. So a user would click on an image, the preview would come out. You have to scroll down a little bit and then add your title. So example title, we'll do that. And I'll show over there. And then example ingredient 1, we'll add that. So essentially the UI is a little cluttered. That's what I'm trying to say. So we can do direction 2. Add that over there. And that's pretty much how it used to be. So right now I'm updating it so when you do the same thing, every step has its own page, and it's more like specific to what we're trying to do. So for the first page in upload, we're gonna be inputting the image and title. So if we go over here to image, we can do the same thing. So put in the image, scroll down a little bit, just a little preview, and then we can put example title does the same thing. And now the next button activates. So it's disabled if one thing is missing, but if you have both an image and a title, we are allowed to go to next. And it's the same here. So it links to a new page, which is for ingredients and directions, but if we go back, the state is maintained. And I'll show you guys how I did that. So let's go over to next, and let's just pretty much continue the process. So ingredients, we can do example ingredient 1, add, and example ingredient 2, add, and then next. Same thing, if we wanted to go back and add on to that, so in ingredient 2, add, next, and just check, it's still here. And now that we're on step 2, we have image and title page completed at its screen, and the page we're currently on will have this like blue little vibrating thing next to it. So let's go to next, and here we can choose categories and choose a difficulty. So that was French fries. We could just do party food, difficulty easy. Next. And at the end, it'll have the preview without any of like those input fields showing. Compared to what we had here, everything seemed a little cluttered up, and that's not the most efficient way, I think, or like aesthetically pleasing way to show input values or input fields when you're trying to create a post. And I think it looks a little bit better. Yes, I do have additional tags, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to update it, because I just didn't want to, in the future, if I wanted to add more fields, I just didn't want to keep adding it on to the bottom of this, where the list would grow so far down compared to having different pages. So here, in the future, we could have 5 instead of 4, meaning like if I wanted to add, or nutritional facts, or how long it would take to make like a dedicated input field and page for that, I could just add it onto here, onto this timeline, rather than just stacking it on top of each other here. And so let's go to the code. Everything is responsive to, as you can see. I'm using Tailwind CSS for the styling, but yeah, let's go to the process upload timeline. Upload process progress timeline. I'm using styled components as well for just this one. It's a lot, and Tailwind won't be able. It'll be a little bit harder to do it on Tailwind, but yeah, pretty much we have some of our default props. Make sure everything is false outside of step 1. So pretty much how I created this, outside of the styling, we're going to talk about the logic in this one, is for every page we're going to be calling whichever step we're on to activate and to show this blue like indicator that we're on this certain page. And for example, this is the first page on the process, so upload, and it corresponds to this upload page component. And what we do is we call on all the steps. So we make sure, step 1 is true and everything else is false. So what step 1 being true means is that we'll set it to is active, and here on our things will, the color becomes blue, has some animation with the pulse, which is right here, some keyframes, and yeah, styling is not important, but what it essentially does is it transforms the class name so we could use the classes that I indicated here. And if it's completed, it'll turn into a color of green, and which we can see when we move to the next one. And my logic process on this one is pretty simple. So when we're on step 1, it must mean is active, but if step 1 is false, that means it's complete. The only way step 1 could be false is if we're in another page, and on the second page, which is ingredients and directions, we have here, we're going to state step 1 is false. So the logic would be, if we're in a different page, step 1 must be completed. If we're in a different step, step 1 must be completed, which is what we have here. So we're moving on to step 2. Step 2 is recipe. I call it recipe because it's just ingredients and directions. It's a little bit shorter than to write both of those. So the logic is the same. If we're in step 2, which means we put step 2 equals true, it'll show it's active, so it'll turn blue, it'll have the pulse, and then to make sure it's marks as complete, we need to make sure it's on the other 2 steps. So if step 3 is true or step 4 is true, that means it's completed. Else we won't have anything. You can't put step 1 here, because if step 1 is done, that doesn't necessarily mean that step 2 is completed. Only if you're in the other stages, such as step 3 or 4, that means step 2 is completed. So that's my logic there. Same for step 3. If step 4 is done, that means it's completed. But if step 3 is currently true, it's active, and it'll have the radiating pulse. Lastly, step 4. If we're on step 4, which is the preview, which you can see right over here, we're going to set that to true, which I have right here. We're going to go back. So if it's step 4, it's active, else we won't have anything. It won't be completed because you won't really see that preview is completed, because once you press upload, you'll be redirected to the home page. But yeah, that's pretty much my logic towards the first upload progress timeline. Now let's move on to the specific components and how I pass the state onto each other. So I'm using React Router, and I'm using React, if you guys didn't know, I'm sorry I didn't say it from the beginning. I'm using React as my front-end framework or library in order to create, reusable components and have some state. And so my logic flow for this is essentially on upload page. This is the first page we have on upload. We have our input fields right here, and what we have is we're passing on the input values onto their specific state. So I'm using useState, and you can see right here, the images will end up in preview source, and then the title will be onto title. Pretty simple, but you can see right over here, these are the 2 components the 2 input fields that I'm putting. But yeah, this is pretty much it. See, if you take this out, you won't be able to put next. So I'm going to talk about this right now. So this next is essentially a button within that has a link. I'm using the button so it could be disabled. It has a disabled characteristic. I didn't really see link having one, so I used a button and just wrapped it around link to have the styling. But pretty much what we have here is if title is blank, or if there's no preview source, which is the image preview, we won't be able to go next. And I have my button component laid out right here to show you guys. So disabled will return true or false based on this statement. So if either of these are false or not, if title is blank or preview source is undefined, disabled will be true. Else both of them are there, and then we could move on. So if we put just anything on the title, we could go to next. And essentially how I pass on state is I essentially will pass on, so a React router has the ability to pass state through pages, and you can do this by doing a link like this. So a traditional link would be in React router would be to just indicate the page you want to go to. So you put link to and then whatever page you want. So we could put to upload ingredients. However, it won't pass any like information. So instead, what we're going to do is show you what it gets passed. So here on it, so we're going to refresh the entire, we're going to go back and we're going to try to restart this whole process. So that's the home page, and then we're going to do write a dish. So we're fresh from the beginning. And in uploading ingredients, which is the second step, we're going to make sure location is enabled, and we're going to console log location. Location gives us a lot of information from every route that we're like moving on to. So let's go over to link and show you guys how it works. So let's do choose file. So we're gonna do a different one, so it's better. So like egg McMuffin, I guess. Egg McMuffin. And we're gonna click on next, and we're gonna inspect the values that were given right over there. So here we have an object. Oh, sorry. So what we're gonna do is console location instead of location.state. So what we have access to is the path name, which is pretty much just this. State search hash key. What's most important is state. And what we did in upload is we pretty much passed over state by indicating literally what the state is, what the path name is. So these are the two values that we directly indicated from the previous component. And when we moved on to ingredients and directions, we have access to it through location. And you can see here, if you console log it, it'll be location.state. This is pretty much what we have access to. So let's do it again. Location.state. Console log that, and it should pop up right here. And bam. We passed earlier image source and title. And if we go back here, what did we bring? Image source, which is the preview source, and then title. I did this location.state when we're coming back. So let me show you what that means. So now that we're in the second page, comment this out, and essentially let's go to our back path, upload button, So I created a component here for these next two pages that pretty much gets the states that we want if you're going to the next or the back. So why do I use a spread operator and spread the location or the state, location.state? So I'm essentially doing this to return what was done here or what was done earlier. So if you don't do this, if there is no back state, what happens is when you go back, let's wait for this to reload. When you go back into the page that you were previously in, it won't have what you had earlier. Pretty much the image and the title that you put earlier is gone because you're not passing it back. Which is kind of a little like just working your way around the component, yeah, I guess. But it's important to make sure you have that state, not that we're using like a library to maintain it necessarily. But I think this is super fast since it's 2 or 3 times that we're doing it. But you need to have this in order to have the previous state. So if we're going to do this again, I'll show you. We'll choose the McMuffin picture. We'll just do example again, and we go next. But so this time, if we go back, it gets maintained, and we could do that here. We could see upload. Go back to upload. We have location here, and if we console log location.state on this page, we are getting passed back literally what we passed forward. However, if we include something here, so we're adding on to the state and we pass back, no, it doesn't do that. Okay, so I guess it doesn't pass back new state, but it passes the previous state. I'm saying state a lot because, which is kind of repetitive in my mind, but this is a documentation. I'm just documenting my thought process again. And so what I did actually is I didn't bring back everything. I just brought back what was given to this. I just made sure whatever we passed to this second page, and when we go back, we just bring back that information and use to show here. So I have a use effect hook which says if location.state, if there is something in location.state, we're going to set the previous source, which we have here, that holds onto the values that gets passed on to the next page. Location.state.image.source, which is this, which is right here. We're just making sure that these values are already set. Since we made it already, we're just bringing it back, essentially. In short words, we're just bringing it back over here. And then we're going to go to next. And then we're going to do the same thing. So when we go from the second page to the third page, what did I do? Okay, we're going to console this location. So when we do example ingredients, add, example 2, add, hold up. Oh, okay. So this is just updating, like, you know, on the spot. So yeah, it is important to also include this. Why? So why am I going to bring this? So I just realized that if you type something here, add, and then you type something here, add, but if you go back, this is maintained. However, if you come back to this page, nothing comes back. Even though if I were in the third page going back to second, this would show up. Because in the previous example that I showed, that happened. But if you go from back from a page before to the current page, it won't maintain it because I didn't include it in here. But now I did. So this is repeating ourselves. So we could modify this on our upload back and next button component, but I can do that right after. So my thought process now is I'm going to return this as the back state. I'm going to include the ingredient list and direction list because I have this use effect. If location.state that ingredient list is there and location.state direction list is there, we could set it to the current page states and it'll show. So let's say, and let's add example 1 ingredient, add example 1 direction, add. So I go back, this is here still, which is fine. But when we go over to link, we're going to have access now to ingredient list, direction list. We should have access to it. There we go. Nice. And this is what we're doing here. So we're going to spread that. So whatever we had here. This is to make sure that if we were to update it, it'd be the new one. So we're not going to use example. We're going to use McMuffin now. And here we're going to make sure we're console logging it. So when we go to this next page, we'll see. So McMuffin, currently it still should be example, but when we move to next, this is here. See, now we have our ingredients because we maintain that state, and now that the title is McMuffin. Awesome, cool. And now we could refactor this repetitive code that here. I think we could refactor this. I need to make sure for the next page. So we need to do the same thing. So we go over to next. And let's go over to back. Okay, see? We have this still. And let's see if what I did here. What did I do? Oh, okay. I see. So I did it for this one where I included ingredient list and direction list because that's what we're getting passed on to us from the... Oh, sorry. I messed up. So I didn't do it. So if you were to put pasta and easy, go back to ingredients and then go to next, it should be blank. Right, okay. So what we do is we include difficulty and we include category on the back. So now when we select this and we add salmon and medium, that should be included in state. But if we go to back and refreshes, we have it here, salmon and medium. And we're passing that. We're passing that here because we're spreading anything. So this is next state. We're spreading everything from location state. And we're only updating ingredient list and direction list. So we change this again. So if we undo, that removes it. But we won't be able to put next. So we'll do just we'll do an actual ingredient. So we'll put buns. I don't know, anything random. And we go to next. Here we have salmon and medium. So we have that, and we go back buns. Cool, 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 cool. And then everything that we put, medium salmon, McMuffin, buns, everything should be here, which is awesome. That's what we wanted. All right, cool. Is there a backlink for upload preview? I'm pretty sure I did. So I wrote it. I didn't write it with the upload back and next button component. Excuse me. But what we're doing is we're essentially spreading everything because we can't update anything here. There's nothing new that will be on. So we could just spread out whatever was there. And yeah, that's how it works. So boom. Cool. So what we can do now is pretty much refactor it. You know, this is a upload next, back in next button. Okay. So to path name, back path. So back path and next state have been the same thing. So what we could do is just say we're gonna pass back state. Next path, back state. Okay, like that. We're gonna pass back state. Just like this. Remove this. Now let's see. Let's hope it works. It should work. You know, we're just hacking our way pretty much. So let's start all over. So let's go back here. Let's refresh the page. And let's do it from like step 1. Just to make sure everything works. So, but what we need to do is to make sure this is just state. And we'll comment this out for now. Boom. And then we'll comment this out for now. And we can do state like that. This should work. Confident it will. But yeah, it's great that we encountered a problem, small problem, and this is how I'm pretty much debugging it with my thoughts being like worded out, which is my like first time experiencing this, but it's a good practice. So let's do it again. French fries. There's no state right now because this is the initial one. So we go to next. What we have here is the state that we just passed. So if we go to ingredient and do ingredient 1, add, and direction 1, add, let's show, okay. We go back. Cool, it has that. Now the problem was what happens when we press next. Okay, cool, it's still there. Now we go to next, and we'll do the same thing. We'll do pork, it's French fries, so it's a party food. Super easy. Go press back. We still have this. Go next. Party food, easy. Cool. And let's make sure everything's there. Nice. Everything is there. And that's pretty much how I changed, you know, an example that looks like this into something cleaner. And, you know, it's better good practice on passing state. And yeah, this is my thought process. You had a little my thought process of debugging as well. It's pretty much on the spot. Yeah, that was like one edge case that I didn't see, which is awesome. It's pretty cool. And then let's just upload for fun. So yeah, when you press upload, it'll I hope it didn't do twice. That would suck if it did. But yeah, once this loading finishes, it'll be pushed to the database and it'll be pushed to Cloudinary. And here's my French fries that I posted. Let's click on it, and everything that I had is there. French fries, easy party food. The picture, ingredients, ingredient 1. Yeah, awesome. This is my first document type video of me showing what I did, how I did it, and yeah, facing a bug that I didn't see initially, which is super awesome. It was a super cool opportunity for me to show you guys how I'm thinking throughout my process, and that's pretty much what I wanted to share. But yeah, super awesome. That's how it works. I mean, compared to this, I think this is cleaner. You tell me. I like this process a lot more, a lot better. But yeah, that's my thought process and how I'm thinking live. You know, which is awesome. Cool experience. But yeah, can't wait to share more of how I think and me documenting my journey of being a web developer. But yeah, that's pretty much a little how I think. Stay tuned for the next time, guys. Thank you. Peace out.